Welcome back, Shalloners, and welcome Billie Eilish or Billionaires. Have you guys come up with a fan name yet? Get on this shit. We're not just going to talk about Billie today. We're going to talk about Billie's seemingly fractured friendship with Bhad Bhabie. I don't know how to say it. Is it Bhad Bhabie? Bhad Bhabie. I feel like I'm having a stroke. I feel like my tongue is swelled up like I'm having an allergic reaction. Bhad Bhabie. That cash me outside chick, because she's calling out Billie for allegedly ghosting their friendship. And I have gotten so many questions about this issue lately. What do you do when a friend ghosts you? Why does it happen? We're going to break it down. I'm going to tell you what's going on with Billie and Bhad Bhabie. Babe, I don't know. I'm just... bleh. And more importantly, why people ghost us. Because sometimes it's their fault, but sometimes it's ours. I'll tell you where the dividing line is, and most importantly, like I said, what you can do about it going forward. But first, just want to remind you guys that if you have a love question for me, or a dating or a friendship question, whatever, find me on my website, shallonlester.com, and click Get Help. Also follow me on Instagram at shallonxo, and TikTok shallonxo as well. And if you want a cameo shout out, find me on there too. So let me say up front, I love Bhad Bhabie. I mean, Bhad Baby. Why doesn't she just spell it like that though? Danielle. I might just have to call her Danielle for purposes of this video, but I actually really love her music. Like, Hi Bitch was a bop. Like, white J's, white Porsche, white wrist, white horse, Hi Bitch. I was like, this girl gets me. Like, she's a good rapper. She's a good little writer, you know? And I also I feel for her. Like, when people are that like spiky, it comes from a place of hurt. And I think it was very significant that she thinks her dad abandoned her, you know. So when you grow up without a strong male presence, and just a single mom, you have to be that strong male presence sometimes. Like, you have to function as a sword and a shield. And maybe that's how she felt. I have, you know, like, people's like, you're aggressive and you're spiky. I was like, because I fucking had to be. Because if I didn't do this, if I didn't protect like this like soft, wonderful woman, my mother, like, who was going to, you know? So I was like on 10 all the time to protect my family. So I don't know. I just kind of maybe see a little bit of myself in her. Also very here for her nails and her big hoops. You know, this means I fight other females like we talked about. So one female Bhad Bhabie might want to fight is her former friend, Billie Eilish. So Danielle did a live stream on her Insta the other day, and people were asking questions. And one of the questions someone asked was, are you still friends with Billie Eilish? This is what she had to say.
I think I'm friends with Billie. I don't know if Billie's my friend. Every time I DM her and give her my number, she just doesn't text me. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what happens when bitches get famous. It'd be like that. I'm not tripping. I know who my real friends are.
So she closes it. She's like, I'm not tripping. I know who my real friends are. But like, no one likes to be rejected, right? Especially from another female. Like, we're used to being rejected by guys. Like, not really, but kind of. You know, like, we accept that that's part of the slings and arrows of love and how it just kind of goes sometimes. Like, you're not going to marry every single person you date. There's going to be rejection if you enter into the dating game. But we don't think that that's how it's going to be with friends. Even though when you look back, it's like some of the most wounding episodes of my life were betrayals from friends. I mean, yes, guys have wounded me deeply, but it's my best friend from high school who ended up fucking my boyfriend from high school. Like, when we were 25, not like in high school when we were all young and dumb. Like, she purposely went after this dude in Los Angeles. It's like, oh, it's going to be like that. Okay, that's fine. I thought we were sisters. I guess not. Because we are pack animals. We're tribe animals. And we, especially females, we're not really meant to be lone wolves. Very, very few of us organically feel that way. Like, we almost always feel better when we have people around us who love us, understand us, support us, and just help, like, they get us, you know? And I think that's how Bhad Bhabie's friendship and Billie formed, because the history is they were friends kind of before Billie's career took off. So Billie's 18, Danielle's 17. So they're both experiencing this polarizing fame, you know? And obviously Billie is far less controversial than Danielle is, you know? But people are still, when you're that famous that young, everyone feels entitled to their opinion of you. When you're that famous at all, people feel entitled to an opinion. When you're female, people feel entitled to an opinion. Is this not correct? So you put all those three things in concert, and they felt probably very, very isolated, certainly from what other girls their age were dealing with. I mean, look at Danielle. I don't know if she actually came from the ghetto. She talks like she does, so we're just going to go with that narrative. But other girls her age are probably like getting knocked up, getting locked up, and she's trying to like make a rap career. She's also getting locked up. She's on 5 years probation. 5 years is a long ass time, and probation fucking sucks. I've never been on it, but honestly, I probably will at some point. I know how I am. Don't run up on me. You see these hoops? I already pulled off my nails. I'm ready to fight. I'll grease up my hands. I got Vaseline with me all the time. Don't come for me. I don't know why that accent lapsed into Italian, because I am an Italian. So I'll like just go like Staten Island Italian if you come for me like that. Okay. So her and Billie probably felt very, very alone in their new lifestyle and this newfound fame and infamy even. And so I'm sure that they found great comfort in each other as friends, and someone who could just be like, yeah, dude, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. Like, it's good, but it's crazy. And it's really important to have someone, no matter what station in life you're at, who understands you. It's like, and that's why I have seen such a split between like me and my mom friends. And I have taken it very personally, segueing. Like, I feel like I've been ghosted by my mom friends. And when you look at it from the Bhad Bhabie point of view, it's like, well, the mom friends needed to hang out with other mom friends. They needed to talk to someone who understood the midnight feedings, who understood the tantrums, where I was like, boring, I'm going to go have champagne and caviar for dinner. Bye. You know, that's not my life. Purposely. And do you not know how much they are hating this mom life right now? Not that I'm happy about it. I'm not. I would never wish unhappiness on my friends or any other woman. But let's just say people have stopped asking me when I'm going to have kids. Oh, you don't want kids? Aren't you lonely? Oh, what? Oh, I don't. That's crazy. I don't hear that much lately. Girl, I got champagne on ice. I can pop it whenever I want. White J's, white Porsche. So I understand why Billie and Bhabie found each other. And I also understand why this would be very, very hurtful to Bhabie when Billie like ghosted her, because Bhabie's life has not changed. Her fame has increased. Her records are more. Do you know the drama with her and Sky Jackson? Holy shit. Okay, Sky Jackson, you know her. She's from the meme, like, and she's like a Disney Channel kid, and she's like a good girl. And apparently she slid into the DMs of a boy she should not have. Maybe it was Bhabie's boyfriend or like a guy, someone who Bhabie had laid claim on. And Danielle fucking came for Sky Jackson, like death threats level coming for her. And Sky Jackson had to get a restraining order against her. It's like it like shook her up. The moral of the story is, whoever Danielle Bregoli tags in her Instagram post, don't DM those people. Those belong to her, okay? I get it. That's her real estate. We're going to stay off that property, you know? And I also get why she's proprietary over people in her life. Not that you should issue death threats, but I feel like I'm way more like her than I want to admit. Although I would never mouth off to Dr. Phil. You know how I love Dr. Phil, okay? Maybe that's why I love her, because she has proximity to Dr. Phil. Anyway, I see why she's proprietary over people in her life, because this again speaks to this idea of loneliness, you know, where there is a very finite amount of people who understand her and who really support her and who aren't trying to get anything from her, you know? And I'm sure she felt that way about Billie. It's like, Billie has nothing to gain from me except for just like friendship and love and knowledge and support. And so when that was removed, when she doesn't feel like she has Billie anymore, I think she's like much more of an emotional hoarder with other people in her life. Like whoever the fuck this dude is that Sky Jackson was trying to DM, like, it's like, that is mine and I don't have a lot. And when we get jealous like that, it does come from a place of lack. I mean, it comes from a natural place, because it's like, get off my land. Wars are fought over land, and that man is my territory. Okay, he's not my property, but he's my territory. So you come on my land, you knock on my door, boo, someone's going to answer you. Hoops. So I understand where she's coming from. And I feel the hurt in her voice. Like, I don't know, like I text her my number, or I DM her my number and she doesn't text me. I think it's odd that maybe they didn't have each other's phone number. Maybe Billie had to change her number. And if that's the case, if Billie changed her number and didn't let Bhad Bhabie in on it, that to me tells me she was cleaning house, you know? And that can be a very, very painful thing if you're on the wrong side of that. So why do people ghost, right? We've talked a lot about why guys ghost. And the reason guys ghost is when they're vanished in front of you, they've appeared in front of someone else. No one ghosts into inpatient therapy. They don't do that. They don't ghost into hibernation. They're not a sim, just in the state of stasis, waiting to be reactivated by your love and text messages. No, they ghost because somebody else has pulled ahead of the pack. They're fucking someone else. And maybe they always were, and you didn't know that. You didn't know that you were actually in a competition. You thought this was like a one-man band. It's not. And that's why they come back. Oh, because the thing with that other chick fizzled out, or they realized she was crazy, and oh, well, let's just knock back at your door. But it's not always like that with friendships. So let's talk about when it's the ghoster's fault and when it's your fault. Because what do we do here on this channel? We examine our role in patterns, and not even patterns, just in painful things, right? We do autopsies, and like a real life autopsy, it's messy, it's nauseating, it's disgusting. You don't want to do it. Don't take your hoops off. Don't get close. But we have to in order to understand what happened. What was the cause of death there? But the reason people do autopsies on things is so that they can do preventative medicine, right? They can prevent these things from happening, and same why we do emotional autopsies. So here's why someone ghosts you when they're the douchebag. They're like the fuckboys. They're not maybe sleeping with their new best friend, but something shinier has come along. They're a little cat batting around a piece of tinfoil, or they're a crow, and they're like, tinfoil! And they've swooped in on something else. And they're maybe a kind of person who's like a serial obsessor. And how we can preventative medicine that situation is to look for love bombing in friendships, because that is definitely a real thing. Friends come on super strong and they want to hang out all the time. And oh my God, come on my family's boat. And I want to introduce you to all my friends. And blah, 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 blah. It's so intense. And I'm calling you all the time. How are you doing? And we don't know what to make of it because they're not mean. And they do appear to love us. And unlike dating, we're not having sex with them too soon. We're not off the market. Now we can't talk to anyone else. It's well, my life is rolling on. They just really like me. We like to be liked, right? It feeds our ego. Ooh, it feels so good. But like we've talked about with love bombing in relationships, love bombing versus a healthy relationship is the difference between an out of control car and a nice Sunday drive, right? Love bombing feels like you were in the passenger seat going 220 miles an hour, weaving in and out of traffic. I mean, it's exciting, but you are terrified. And you're you feel overwhelmed and you feel not in control, right? And it's well, this isn't bad until it goes bad, but it feels out of control and too fast. And whatever your version of too fast and too slow is valid. You get to decide how fast that car goes, right? And same with friendship. If this feels out of control versus the Sunday drive when it's you know what? We're just cruising. We're going to get where we're going. Stop at that fruit stand. Who could use a pie? I'd like a nice peach pie. That sounds good. No rush. Things are unfolding. You know you're going to get where you're going. And it's chill. You got all the time in the world. That's the difference between unhealthy and healthy. And that comes out in friendships as well. So if a ghoster comes out at that 220 miles an hour, it's like a firework. Boom, it's a flash and then it's gone. So you kind of have to anticipate that. And, in a way, it's that's the best possible outcome because you couldn't sustain a 220 mile an hour friendship, right? But when that happens, your heart's not broken, it's your ego. Because it was your ego that kept you in that passenger seat because, hey, you like to be liked and oh my God, they love me. They're bringing me all sorts of food because I'm bored and I'm sick, right? But that's your ego talking. And like we always say, it's a lot easier to get over a broken heart than a bruised ego. And a lot of times in these friendship situations, it is our ego coming into play, but not always. So that's one kind of person who ghosts. Another kind of person who ghosts is someone who's selfish and maybe you run out your usefulness for them. maybe you no longer have access to that like roof deck over the summer, or you're not the editor of Star Magazine anymore, so you're not going to all the super fun events. And yeah, no, we should do coffee. Oh, we should do that. I'm telling you, when I left that job, and I got laid off, like there were budget cuts, and people who I thought were like my actual friends literally never spoke to me again. I was like, oh, so it'd be like that. Okay, I was Bhad Bhabie, where it's like, oh, I know who my real friends are. I'm chilling, but it hurts. It's like, oh, that's interesting, because it's not like I'm, picking up trash by the side of the road. I have a thriving career with influence. I reach more people on this channel than Star Magazine did by a factor of fucking 10. Okay. So it's interesting that like, I'm still somebody to you, like publicists and like people I would interface in that way, but I don't know. I guess not. I guess my role was real niche, real specific. And that was a real lesson for me. That was a real lesson that, symbiotic relationships happen. They're natural and they're healthy, where it's like, you get something from me, I get something from you. This is what our relationship is predicated on, and that's okay. But it's a lesson for me to guard myself a little bit more. When people are like, let's get drinks. Let's not, boo. Let's keep this over email. I don't need to waste my time and my calories. I don't need to sit down with you. I'm a sharer. I'm an oversharer, obviously. And I meet a new friend and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Here's my breakup. Here's a this. Here's a that. And like, I don't need to be putting myself out there like that. I need to save that for the ride or dies, the real friends who are my actual friends. They're not business friends who, if my business dried up tomorrow, they'd be like, ugh, bye. And not like everyone was like that after I got laid off, but I was even texting with one of my friends, a business friend, Matt Ambrose, the other day. And I was like, you were there for me when there was nothing for you to get out of it. And because he was like, you're always so there for me. I was like, because you're my friend. Like, you're my friend. And if you never send me a free hat again, like, I don't care. Like, I want to know how your life is going. I can buy my own goddamn hats. Right? So you could be caught up with a user and now your usefulness has ended. So that's the takeaway. Let's guard ourselves a little bit and really try to read the writing on the wall about what someone hopes to gain from us. And sometimes it would be helpful to bluff. If you think you are in the clutches of a user friend, bluff. Like, oh, no, my dad cut off my credit card. Like, I can't be paying for all the lunches anymore. See what their reaction is. Oh, no problem. Yeah, obviously, that's normal. Oh my, you have to change, call him up. Not normal. If we give people enough rope, they'll hang themselves, right? And you gotta get perspective on someone's true motives. And if you pull back, and if you are a little bluffy sometimes, you can get that clarity. But this is what I've learned doing this for as long as I have. We almost always have that clarity. We have logged the data points, but we're like not choosing to read them. I say this all the time. 99% of the questions I get from you guys, they never come down to, I didn't know this was the deal. They always come down to, I knew and I ignored it. Because then by the time you come to me, you're mad as fuck. Why? You're mad at yourself. You're allowed to be mad at friends. You're allowed to be mad at dudes. You're allowed to be mad at family. I don't want you to be mad at yourself because it is a torturous, awful situation, right? And it informs every decision that you make. You get into bad relationships because you feel like you deserve it. You let people take advantage of you because like, I deserve this. Like, I'm the idiot, or I can't trust my own intuition. Why should I go for that promotion? Like, I couldn't even get a shitty friend out of my life. These are micro calculations in your subconscious that you're not even aware of, but they're happening. And they wouldn't have to happen. These things wouldn't kick into play if we let ourselves read the writing on the wall about people and acknowledge that, you know what? Even if I have to cut someone off, it is better to be alone and at peace than friends with someone who is truly not here for the right reasons, who is truly not someone who has my back. You're going to make more friends. You're not going to be alone at the lunch table for the rest of your life, right? I would always rather be by myself and know if I have one good friend, okay, that's what I have. I want to know my inventory. I want to know what I have. I want to know how much food I have. I want to know how much vitamin C serum I have left. I want to know the dudes I can call up to get laid. I want to know all these things. And I want to know who my real friends are and who the fakes aren't. Even if it's painful, I want to walk in the light of the truth on my situation. So there's other times when you get ghosted and it's a little bit your fault. It's a little bit your fault because I'm going to tell you the truth. I ghost friends. I've ghosted friends and I've ghosted a lot of them at two different points in my life. I've ghosted them after my divorce and I ghosted them after I lost my job at Star because like I ghosted the people who were not there for me after I lost my job, but who popped back up. Oh, your channel's doing so well. Where the fuck were you? Where were you when I was freaking out about my future, when I was on unemployment, when I was considering applying for food stamps because I didn't know if I was going to work again? Where were you? Nowhere. You're a fair weather ass friend and I don't need you. That's the garbage truck outside. Hold on. Reminds me of New York. It's back in Brooklyn. And I've also ghosted people. And this happened after my divorce when like, I know I present a very strong front and that is by design, but I'm a human being and everything that hurts you hurts me too, right? And that was a very, very difficult time in my life. You know, it was awful. It was awful. Of course, hello. And there were people who just could not repress their own fucking selfishness. They couldn't do it. This one friend, and she called me out. She's like, did you block my number? I was like, yes, I did. She did this after the divorce. I was like, she never once was like, are you okay? How are you doing? Nope. It was, oh, like this guy, he's a cashier at Starbucks and he doesn't like me. And it was just like, what a 14-year-old would be talking to me about. And I'm like, this is not this. I don't have the emotional bandwidth, but I would, play along. I mean, hey, people's problems are their problems. I'm not here to like adjudicate on the severity and veracity of your problems. Like if something is important to you, it's important to you. Hello? But there was no give and take. There was no, okay, we've talked about you for 4 hours. Would you maybe like to ask just casually, how are you? You moved out the other day. How are you doing? Are you okay? So that was really, really hard to see the writing on the wall there. But excuse me, I tipped my mic over. I had to read it. And I'm also realizing that I'm ghosting people now in this quarantine, or I will ghost them in the future, right? Because it's people who I'm reaching out to who aren't giving anything back to me. It's like I'm always the one checking in on them. They never say that in reverse. It's like, well, you're out in California. What's wrong with where you're at? I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's still a fucking pandemic. Like, do you live with your parents? That presents its own set of challenges. But again, it's not a competition. It's not like the martyrdom competition. We're all up on our crosses. Who's going to be the number one? It's friendship. It's reciprocity. If you aren't organically curious about me and my life, I don't know what to tell you. Like, then why am I so concerned about your life? Why am I hemorrhaging effort, energy, time, empathy towards a situation? And my one friend who was constantly talking to me about her non-existent inane boy problems, finally I was like, you know what? Maybe you should be like paying me. Like, I do this shit for a living. I didn't appreciate it. And now that this quarantine, and we talked about this with exes popping back up, we need to start paying attention to who's here for us and who's not. Who's checking in on us? Who cares? Who doesn't? Or worse than like the not checking in, worse. And I'm on like a group chat with my sorority sisters and she brought this up. She's like, listen, she's like, everyone here on this chat, 5 of us, we all have very social forward-facing jobs. Sales, law, like one's a DA, like another one works for like a wine thing, like, and she's like, influencer, celebrity. She's like, we all have high social needs and we are making this work. She's like, I have friends, one friend, she's an accountant. Who usually works from home. She's never usually around people. And she is texting me 24 fucking hours a day, needing stimulation, validation. She's in a spiral, blah, 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 blah. She has never once asked how I am. Never one time. And I'm like, she's like, the writing is on the wall with her. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, don't forget this. Because again, it's not like it's not like you can never talk about your problems. It's you have to care about my life also. It's a two-way street. And some people don't get that. And look, we all go through our times of heartbreak where we really are. We're the star of the show. Like, you go through a breakup, you go through something, and it's like all eyes on the crisis. I get it. Absolutely. Absolutely. My friend, her dog just passed away, and I was talking to her through it. It was just heartbreaking. It was awful. And she's like, but how are you? I'm sorry for talking on and on like this. I'm like, girl, this is a major trauma. Like, I'm fine. I'm watching a million episodes of Ridiculousness on MTV. Back to you. But if that's the chronic pattern with somebody, yeah, maybe that's why they ghosted you. Maybe that's why you're allowed to ghost them. So do that autopsy and be like, go back through the text and be like, what was the subject matter? Did you orient everything back to you? Or when you're thinking about ghosting someone, you're like, I don't know, I feel bad. Don't feel bad, girl. Don't feel bad. And this brings me to my last reason for ghosting. They're just not that into it. And this is the same with guys too. My friend Greer said this one time, and it truly was like, I remember it. It was such an eye-opening epiphany moment that she's like, this girl from like my Pilates class keeps asking me to hang out and go to coffee, and I keep curving her. And I'm like, get the hint. I don't want to be friends with you. And I was like, it had truly never occurred to me that you can say no to adding a new friend into your life. She's like, I don't have time. She's like, I barely get to see you guys, my actual best friends. Like, I don't want to like go to coffee and bullshit. Like, she's fine. She's nice, but I have no organic curiosity about her life. I don't care. I release you with love. And I was like, this is why Greer is my best friend, because she is that self-aware that she is going to be like, I don't care about your life. She's not going to get into this dynamic like I've had with people, like we've all had, where it's like, me, not going to ask about you, don't care, me. She's mature enough to know and secure enough to know that she's like, if I did become friends with her, that would be the dynamic, and that's not fair to her. And I was like, good for you. So sometimes it's just a matter of like chemistry, as in dating. They just aren't into it. And this is what's difficult, because sometimes that's a new thing. And I know that when you guys talk to me about ghosting, it's like, we were so close. What happened? You know what happens is people change. They do. And not always for the better, and not always at the same time. And this is what's hard. And this is what was hard for me about the mom friends ghosting, is it's like, okay, well, I'm growing and maturing too. And you look at me because I don't have kids that like, oh, I'm out at One Oak every night. It's like, I'm watching Murder, She Wrote. Okay. And I'm doing my YouTube channel. Like but I still was not growing. If not that not having kids mean you aren't advancing as a person, you are. I was not growing at their rate. And so we were out of alignment. Same with like, if you're a lot younger and you're in college and it's like, you're getting a boyfriend, settling down, your friend is still going out, or vice versa. Or you're like, you know what? I want to branch out and make a whole bunch of different friends. And they're like, I don't want you to do that. It's really difficult when growth doesn't happen at the same rate and in the same direction. There's a reason that term exists. You grew apart. It just happens. But I will tell you that the friendships I've had when I was younger that still persist today persist because we allowed a period of ghosting. We had that elasticity where it's like, you know what? Diane's doing her thing in San Francisco. She's going to law school. Lauren's going to seminary. Whatever. Like, we're not on the same wavelength. I'm doing a bunch of blow in New York City, like, and songs written about me. But it's like things evened out, and it's like, now we're friends again. Now we have that common ground. But had I gone like ballistic on these people, or vice versa, had they gone ballistic on me, I'm like, fuck you, you fucking ghosted me, you've abandoned me, that would not be the case. So it's important, in the immortal words of Q-Tip, give each other space and not the evil eye as much as possible. If this is an old friendship that maybe is going through that growth fluctuation, growth is painful, growth is awkward, growth doesn't happen at the rate you want it to. It's not even steady growth. That's why there's growth spurts. And one of you might be in one of those spurts. One of you might be in a growth contraction stage. You might be realizing, hey, you're working through some trauma, you're working through some issues, and you're just kind of closing yourself off from people while you're doing that hibernation. Okay? But really try to analyze what is going on beneath the surface. If you think this is a friendship you want to kind of like wait out, put it on the back burner and be like, we'll see. We'll see how this goes 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 5 years down the line. Life is really, really long, you know? And if you have that connection on some level at some time, that's hard to break. That foundation is hard to chip away at. And so if you just like let it breathe a little bit, people will come back to that foundation a lot of times. So avoid saying things that you might regret. Avoid any kind of confrontation or like closure or whatever, if you can possibly avoid it. What you can do is go to this person and be like, is there something I did? Hey, give me real honest feedback. But girl, you got to be ready to hear that real honest feedback. And if you're not, that's fine. Sometimes we just don't want it. It's like, I really don't want to hear what I'm doing wrong. I said that to a friend last night. I said that to my friend Swati. I was like, I don't need to hear feedback on if I look weird or if I'm doing something wrong. I literally just don't have the bandwidth for it right now. And she's like, I noted. And that's what friendship is. But if you're like, hey, did something happen? Like, are you mad at me? Did something go wrong? Did I offend you or something? Like, tell me. Say it over email so that people can compose their thoughts and so that you can digest the response like bit by bit. It can be a lot to like take in IRL, and people aren't as eloquent as I am, and they speak from a place of defensiveness or anger, or they're just scatterbrained and they don't know how they feel about something. So give it time and space to breathe a little bit, and then take their feedback in. Be like, oh, because had my friend who I blocked said to me, had she come to me with a modicum of like self-awareness, like, hey, did I hurt your feelings? I would have been like, you know what? Yeah, you've been super, super selfish lately. And it's been like a very long pattern for the last 6 months. And like, you know, I just can't have that in my life right now. And I really want to get back to where we were. Then maybe it would have gone differently. If my friend who fucked my boyfriend had come to me in a spirit of, I don't know, one shred of remorse. Just, she wants to be an actress is the irony. I was like, you can't even pretend to be sorry for something that you very much should be organically sorry for. So good luck out there, boo. Had she come to me like that, I'd have been like, okay, we need to let this breathe. The foundation is there. Let's come back to this in 6 months and maybe I won't be so mad. But that's not the way it went because she didn't have that maturity. And that's when I was like, okay, now I'm ghosting. Now I'm getting rid of this person. I've seen the writing on the wall and I'm going to learn from this lesson instead of a few more lessons down the line. So I think maybe Billie and Bhabie could be friends again. You know, I think obviously both of their careers are going to continue to shift and rise and, you know, go places, sometimes good places, sometimes bad places. So maybe Billie is just kind of like resting after, I mean, she's had a really super busy year, so has Bhabie. And so maybe this is the time that they'll reach out to each other and talk about it. And maybe that article and maybe this video will get Billie's attention and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to reevaluate. But maybe it was a season. And we talk about seasons a lot on here. Seasons change. And we're not like, bring winter back. We accept that winter is over, okay? Winter's over. It's now spring. Get the memo. And maybe their friendship was here for a season. Maybe it was here for a reason. And maybe it's just, it is what it is. And it's time to learn from the good things that they got out of it and keep it moving. I want to know your experience with getting ghosted. Do you think Billie should be friends with Bhabie? Baby, Bhad Bhabie. Take the H's out. Danielle, can I buy the H's off of you? How much do you want to drop the H's and just be Bhad Baby? Just be Bhad Baby. That's fine. You know how grandma rankles me. But yeah, I want to know your friendship stories. Also click like and subscribe. We're doing a new video every day during quarantine, and follow me on Instagram at shallonlester. Talk to you later, Shalloners.